Whenever you have a mistake at the wheel, you need to re-wedge your clay prior to using it. Also, if you're using recycled or reclaimed clay, you need to wedge that as well. There are three purposes of wedging. The first purpose is that it removes moisture from the clay. It stiffens the clay, dries it out. The second purpose is it removes air bubbles. And finally, it evens out the consistency. It mixes the hard spots with the soft. We typically wedge back at our plaster tables. We have a red clay plaster table that we use for both the chocolate colored clay as well as the red stoneware. And then towards the back of the studio, way in the back, we have a white plaster table as well that we use for the speckled clay body and the white stoneware. But during Corona, we're wedging a little bit differently. We're using canvas, and everybody has their own piece of canvas. It's important that after you wedge on the surface, because you're adding moisture to the fibers, you want to make sure that when you transport the canvas home, that you take it out of the Ziploc bag so that it can breathe. If you do get little specks of black mold on the canvas, you can throw it in your washing machine with some Clorox and just re-bleach the bleached canvas. So I want to show you the actual process of wedging. I have some clay that I threw with at my home studio that now needs re-wedged because I too have mishaps on the wheel. So I'm going to show you how to wedge your clay. So you want to start with first rolling the clay around to remove any surface moisture. And sometimes this will cause the canvas to move on the table surface, so you can hold the canvas down until you need to use two hands for wedging. So now I'm ready to begin wedging, and I'm going to start with what potters refer to as bull's heading. So I'm going to push down and roll back. So notice when I push down, the clay is almost shaped like a bull's head, is how it gets the name bull's heading. This is supposed to be the nose and the eye sockets and the forehead of the bull's head. So you want to roll the clay back, stand it upright, and push down. Do not push too far down. Do not flatten your clay out like this. If you flatten it out too much, when you go to roll it back, you're rolling air pockets into the clay, which is exactly what you do not want to do. So again, the canvas will kind of move a little bit as you're working, but it's no big deal. You can adjust it as you need to. So I'm using this part of my hand to push down. Turn the clay off to the side, push down and roll back. Now when you're re-wedging clay from a mishap on the wheel, it's not uncommon to have to wedge the clay at least 50 times, if not more, depending on how wet the clay is. You can still hear some air pockets popping as I wedge. So now I'm going to do this a few more times. I'm not going to hold you watching the video, but you should be bull's heading any clay that you need to reuse.